Nutrition Studies. My name is Dr. Evelise Capot, and today we are celebrating. It's Friday, and we're making a delicious pasta with mushroom meatballs. So these are meatless meatballs made out of mushrooms, and we're also going to show you a quick and easy marinara sauce. So let's start with the marinara sauce, and all we need, by the way, the recipe is on the description of the video. So we need some onions. We almost always start with some onions. We're gonna saute the onions here in our pan. And notice again, just to recap, we don't use any oil. So if you need to, you can add a little bit of water to saute. We're gonna saute that, the onions and our peppers. So these are bell peppers. The recipe calls for green peppers, but I like to use the red and the orange. I find their flavor is so much better, is sweeter than the green ones. So, again, these recipes are just a canvas for you guys to experiment and add your own little twist, your own spices, or your own different ingredients, and that you can enhance the flavor or make them even better for you. So this can be super, super basic, or we can continue to add a lot of other ingredients. So we're starting with the onions and peppers. We're gonna add now some tomato paste. There's 3 tablespoons of tomato paste. And I like to add just a little bit of water to integrate that tomato paste with the veggies. Add some Beet here. And again, this is the turbo edition of the sauce because, as you know, this has to cook for about 20 minutes, but we're just gonna speed it up. I'm gonna add some oregano. We have here dry oregano. You can also add any other herbs you like, basil, a little bit of sage. I mean, it's up to you really what herbs you like to use. You can use the Italian blend. Just cook that. Now we'll add our tomatoes. These are crushed tomatoes. You can buy the ones with basil in them or just plain crushed tomatoes. And always read the labels. Make sure you get tomatoes that have no sugar added, no preservatives, so just pure tomatoes. And to this, so typically when we make tomato sauce, we add a little bit of a sweetener to break down some of that acidity from the tomatoes. And a long time ago, like a year ago, I showed you guys a beet marinara sauce. So we're using vegetables, we're using carrots and beets to sweeten up our sauce and to break some of that acidity without having to use any sugar. So here I have some shredded carrots, and I'm keeping the peel on those carrots. It's about 1/4 of a cup of carrots, as well as shredded beets. So this is about a 1/4 of a cup of shredded beets, and these are not cooked. These are raw beets with peel and all. And this is totally optional. That's not even on the original recipe that I shared with you, but I just love that. And whenever we can add more vegetables to our meals, even better, especially if we're cooking for little ones. You can add greens when this is done. I love to add arugula or kale to my sauce. You can also add definitely fresh basil. So we're gonna let that cook for about 20 minutes. And I'm just gonna do a little bit of shuffling here. Turn this off, remove the sauce, get the food processor right here so you guys can view it. So that sauce cooks for about 20 minutes, simmered. All right, so for the meatballs, or let's say meatless balls, all we need is some oats. So we have here rolled oats, and I did increase the amount. So the recipe calls for these 3 tablespoons, which is about a 1/4 of a cup. I actually went to almost a full cup because I really like the meatballs to be firm. So we're gonna add the rolled oats here. To another difference from the recipe, I'm using walnuts instead of pecans, which you can use either or. But if you're doing the Heart Healthy program with Dr. Esselstyn, he does allow the walnuts. So I'm doing it heart healthy today with that in mind. So we're just gonna chop these nuts. So we're gonna process so that the nuts are chopped as well as the oats. So we're gonna. Great. Here we have our nuts are chopped as well as our oats, and now we can add the rest of the ingredients. So I have here 3 cups of portobello mushrooms. Now, if you don't like mushrooms or mushrooms are not your favorite thing in the world, maybe you're allergic, you can use eggplant. So usually eggplant is a great substitute for mushrooms. They have a very similar texture. So go for it. I know our instructor manager, Jill, is watching. You can use the eggplant, Jill. Then we have here garlic. There's the recipe calls for 1 garlic clove, and you can add more if you like. I'm tripling that amount because we love garlic. Teaspoon of cumin, teaspoon of dried oregano, and 2 teaspoons of either coconut aminos or tamari, which is a low sodium soy sauce. Okay, so let's go ahead and process these. Just a few minutes, we get the consistency we want, which is it's still gonna be a little bit of a paste. So it's not gonna be very dry, which is good because we want to have some moisture. We don't want dry, meatless balls. So you take, I would say about a tablespoon, and you wanna wet your hands so that your meatless balls don't stick to your hands, and just form the balls. And I have here, either you can use parchment paper or a silicone liner, anything that you have available so that these don't stick. Don't use aluminum because they'll stick, and we don't want to cook with aluminum. So it's always all right. So we have a few here, and we're just gonna create those beautiful meatless balls and bake them at 350 for about 20-25 minutes. Just make sure they're firm when you take them out, and they do firm up a little bit once you take them out of the oven. All right, so we have here, this is how they look after they've been baked. These are the meatless balls, and we're gonna plate this dish. Now, I'm using whole grain spaghetti, and you can use, there's different ones out there. I love the black bean spaghetti as well. This is one. There's a red lentil pasta. There's a brown rice. Whole wheat, so you can use different ones. So we have our base of our noodles, and we have our cooked sauce here. I like to add again some fresh herbs, so I'm gonna add the sauce. Then we'll add some fresh basil. We have some fresh chopped basil. Yum. And our meatless balls. And why not maybe a little bit more of the basil on top? Isn't that gorgeous? And it tastes delicious. Oh my goodness. These are so good. Great. So thank you so much for joining us. I'm trying to see if there's any questions. We'll try to answer them after the video. Check out our website for tons of resources, recipes, and also try out a sample course. We do teach a plant-based nutrition certificate. We invite you to try it out and become one of our graduates. Thank you for joining us.